Hello guys, welcome to yet another video. This is F1 with Mike and this is your review for the 2024 Miami Grand Prix. This is the best Grand Prix of the year so far. Like anyone that missed this Grand Prix weekend, oh lord. A moment of silence for them. Just to I can't put it. If you missed this, you've missed the like so much happened. Just so much happened. You know what? Without further ado, because there's so much to talk about, let's just get into it. So we had one practice session on Friday. Yeah, the only practice session of the weekend because it was a sprint weekend, and I think everything went well. You would say. I think we all the signs we were used to, Max Verstappen topping the timesheets and all of that. We saw that all happening. Although I think I was getting excited because one of my predictions was that Charles Leclerc was going to be the flop of the weekend, but in a way, I think he was the only one. He had a spin in the middle of the track, and I think his clutch overheated or something like that, so he couldn't reverse and get going. So yeah, he caused a red flag during the free practice session, but I think after that there was nothing else. Everything was just going on smoothly. So I guess for that you could say that was the only thing really that happened during that free practice session. Now, I think free practice session, there's nothing special about it really. It's just for the drivers to get used to the track and all of that. But for now, let's go into the qualifying session for the sprint race. Now, that was where things started to get, things started getting interesting. I think the first part of the quali, it was the usual suspects at the back, both Saubers, both Williams, and I think maybe Gasly. I think Gasly was no, I don't think Gasly was there. I think that no, it was Yuki Tsunoda because I remember Gasly made it into Q2 in the sprint quali. So yeah, Alpines were actually looking good. I was like happy to see them making good progress. My predictions for the weekend. I'll get into that later. So yeah, but the big surprise was for both Mercedes going out in Q2 during the sprint qualifying. Yeah, I was very surprised about that. P11, P12, when the other the other teams that use the Mercedes engine are all in Q3. Aston Martins, McLarens, they both use the Mercedes engine. So it's like, what is happening here? It was a bit of a surprise, and it's like, Mercedes is really making any effort, to like go forward or anything. It's like everything they do seems to just go wrong for one reason or another. Big surprise again in Q3 of the sprint quali, Daniel Ricciardo. Wow. I'm really happy for him, to be honest. Even though the remainder of the weekend didn't go as planned, at least in that session, he qualified P4. So it's like very good. I mean, behind Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc, and Sergio Perez in the Red Bull, like he qualified P4 ahead of Carlos Sainz, the McLarens of Piastri and Lando. So it's like, I would say that was a big win. I was really happy for him. Then when we got to the main sprint session, now that was where things got really interesting because you know what? Special shout out to Kevin Magnussen. Kevin Magnussen saved the entire weekend. During the sprint race, he wouldn't let Hamilton go by. I mean, which led to him getting 1,001 penalties, you would say, because like the penalties were just so much, like 10 seconds here, 10 seconds here, 5 seconds here, 10 seconds here, and I think on some penalty points as well. So it's like it was entertaining to see, but in a way, sometimes it was dangerous. So yeah, but at the end of the day, Lewis got past him. But then Lewis was also hit with a drive-through penalty because he was speeding in the pit lane during the safety car. I think at the beginning, yeah, I didn't mention this. At the beginning of the sprint race, Lando was tagged by, I think, the Aston Martin of Lance, because Lance was tapped by Alonso and Alonso was tapped by Hamilton. So it was like a domino effect. So it was like on the corner, Hamilton thought he could find some space to get, like, get some overtake at the beginning of the sprint and all of that, but there was no space. He tagged Alonso, Alonso tagged Stroll, Stroll tagged Norris, Norris spun, and Norris. Lando could not continue. Just as you were thinking, oh, maybe Lando's weekend was going to get worse because a lot of the McLaren brought a lot of upgrades to this race. So I was like, if you would watch my prediction video, I did predict Lando to finish P3. So it's like, there was so much to look forward to for McLaren, at least in this race, because if you're bringing all your upgrades and you're already close to the Red Bull, because remember in the last race, Sergio Perez could not catch up to him during the Grand Prix towards the end of after the safety car. So it was like there's something good here. Red Bull like should be expecting a challenge from McLaren. So it was not up to that point. It wasn't a good weekend for Lando. But going into it, as I said, Daniel Ricciardo as well. He did very well. He did very, very well this weekend. For the sprint race at least, I mean, getting up, holding on to P4, I think he defended against Carlos Sainz for basically the entirety of the sprint race because after the safety car, Carlos just launched an attack after Daniel Ricciardo, and for somehow, Carlos Sainz was not able to overtake. But if you notice, I think there's something also with this track. I think because the track also was so hot, and a lot of drivers didn't want to like waste their tires, basically, or burn through their tires. They were like managing the entire race. It's like they couldn't pull away. Even Max Verstappen, normally in the race when a race starts, we see Max Verstappen after 3 or 4 laps, he has like a 3 or 4 seconds gap. Throughout the sprint race, Max couldn't pull more than 3 seconds ahead of anyone. Ahead of like Charles Leclerc, because Charles Leclerc finished second in the sprint race. Sergio Perez finished third. Max couldn't go away. He couldn't pull away. And same thing, like it was just a reflection of what the weekend was. So it's like it made the racing very competitive. And if you couldn't make any mistake, and also it made it very strategic because if you made a mistake and there was a safety car, then you were not gonna get anything. So it was like that was basically what ensued this weekend, and there was so much jeopardy in that. So for the sprint race, McLaren was also lucky. I think Oscar Piastri got some points. I think he finished P6 thereabout, but Lando couldn't finish. Both Aston Martins were out at the beginning, so nothing for them. Nothing for Mercedes as well because Hamilton was given a drive-through penalty, so he couldn't stick. He finished 8th in the sprint race, so Yuki that finished line got the point because he was promoted to 8th position after you applied a 20-second penalty that was given to Lewis Hamilton for speeding in the pit lane during the safety car. So yeah, that was basically it. And for the race results there, I think Max finished first. Yes, Max finished first. Charles Leclerc second, and Sergio Perez finished third. My prediction actually for the sprint weekend, I think I got one correct. I said it was going to be Verstappen, Checo in second, that's Sergio Perez, and Carlos Sainz, but it was a mix-up. So the eventual outcome, Verstappen still won, but Sainz was not on the podium. I think Sainz finished 5th behind Daniel Ricciardo. As I said, Daniel drove well to defend against the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz up until then. But the nature of this weekend was just that the overtakes were not possible, but somehow the race was still very interesting, I think because of other circumstances. As I said earlier, big shout out to Kevin Magnussen. I'm still going to talk about him again when I talk about the race. So let's get into the qualifying now for the race. Now, in terms of qualifying for the race, I don't think anything stood out much because it was the usual suspects all around. But big shout out to Yuki Tsunoda. Yuki Tsunoda had a good sprint race. I think he came from behind. I think he started like P10, P11 thereabout. No, Yuki started way back down. But somehow he was able to drive through all of this, stay out of trouble, and then he finished with the point. So both the Racing Bulls, both drivers score points during the sprint race. So yeah, but during qualifying, it was still the usual suspects. Max finished P1, Charles Leclerc P2. I think in P3 was Carlos Sainz because both Ferraris were there. Then in P4 was Sergio Perez. Then behind him was the McLaren of Oscar Piastri, and I think then Fernando Alonso, I think. Yeah, so it was the usual suspects. Everything was back to normal, although Yuki qualified, I think, P8 or P7 thereabout with Nico Hulkenberg. So all of them made it there. At the start of the race, if anyone saw that race, I think I'll put the clip when I'm editing this video. Is like you could see where Sergio Perez almost took Verstappen out in turn one.
Poor start for Charles Leclerc. Through goes Carlos Sainz. Max Verstappen maintains the lead. Oh, he was nearly hit by his teammate. That was so close. Millimeters away from striking his teammate. Went to the inside line of that first turn. No grip. Dirty, dusty, and he very nearly made contact. They got away with it.
Man, I was with my friends. I was like, if this guy took out Verstappen in turn one, I think that will be it. You know, everybody's thinking, oh, will Red Bull renew the contract of Sergio Perez? If he had taken out Verstappen at that point, that would have been a definite no. I think they would have switched him to VCAB and bring Ricardo to the senior Red Bull team at that particular point. But luckily, nothing happened. But I think not only Verstappen, I think he could have taken out both Ferraris as well. Carlos Sainz was very lucky to hit the brakes on time, because if not, Sergio Perez would have gone through both of them. But that's the thing. When you go looking for space where there is no space, sometimes trouble is bound to happen. But this time, Sergio Perez was very lucky and nothing happened. And going into the race, everything looked good. I think Oscar Piastri took advantage of that mistake, because I think both Ferraris hit the brakes so hard that Piastri was able to get into P3 and overtake Carlos Sainz and Sergio Perez in that first corner. So it was the race at that particular point was Verstappen, then Leclerc, then Piastri. I think Piastri at a certain point even overtook Charles Leclerc. That was how good the McLarens were on Sunday, because like the Grand Prix, man, honestly, I don't know what they have in that car, but it is looking very good. I think we might just have a title challenge on our hands from McLaren, but I don't know. Maybe let's not get too excited. Let's not jinx it, because not this week. Yeah, it's definitely next week. Yeah, next week they're at Italy, Imola, back to a traditional race circuit. Red Bull might just be back to business, because I know, as I said, temperatures really affected the Miami Grand Prix, so maybe it's not really representative of things, because the Red Bull couldn't pull away from anyone really. Max Verstappen, as you know, yeah, very good driver, but that race was not just him. I think generally over the weekend he was complaining about car handling issues, but I'll get into that at the end of the video. All the things we learned from all the things we learned from the teams this weekend. So I'll get into that as well. So later into the race, I think Max Verstappen also hit one of the cones, like I think it's like there's this crazy cone. I think it's turn 13, 14, 15 on the Miami track. That corner is just so, I don't know who decided to put that there, but honestly it's so dangerous. But anyway, Max couldn't turn his car and he went through one of those cones, and going through those cones, after hitting the cone, removed it completely, he destroyed his floor. I think I saw the clip online, but if I can find it, I also put it in the video so you can see that as well. He destroyed his floor, and I believe that was what reduced his performance, so he couldn't chase as much after. But then, halfway through the race, Kevin Magnussen pops up again. Boom, out of nowhere. This time, what does he do? He takes out Logan Sargeant. Logan Sargeant was removed from the race, and there was a safety car. And the safety car came out at the right time for Lando Norris. I promise you, Lando was the happiest man on earth at that particular time, because Verstappen had pitted to go on hard tires. Definitely, it was a one-stop race, so he was going on hard tires till the end of the race. But then, the McLaren of Lando was still out, because he hadn't pitted at that point. So he was managing his tires, saying how long he could drag it. And the safety car just came in, and at that particular point, everyone had pitted, I think, except him. So he had a free pit stop. He pitted and came out ahead of Max Verstappen. And at that point, Max Verstappen had hards that were already 8 laps old. Lando with new sets of hards till the end of the race. Come on. Immediately I saw that, I was watching with some friends, and I told them, like, that's the end. That's the end. Like, there's no way Max Verstappen is winning this race. And that was how it happened. There's no more Lando no wins. We have Lando has a win. The era of Lando no wins have come to an end. I think, when did he make his debut? I think he made his debut in Formula 1 in 2019. So it's 2019 to 2024. Lando no wins has come to an end. Lando has his first race win. I mean, it was an exciting experience, to be honest. Like, I think for every British uh, and McLaren fan, I think for Formula One, I think they'll be very happy of for this win because for so long people have always stepped on Lando, like in the sense that oh, he's a very good driver, he has a lot of podiums, but he has never won a race. Is he that good enough, or is he prone to so many mistakes? Like people say that a lot about Charles Leclerc as well because like oh yeah, he's a good driver, he has 5 wins, like that's I'm talking about Charles Leclerc. He has 5 wins and all of that, but is he really good? But I think this is what happens when you have a guy like Verstappen in Formula One, like where he doesn't make mistake. The guy's like a robot. So it's like you tend to get used to a certain standard that cannot really be held, that cannot really be matched. The standard is just so high set by Verstappen that it would be unrealistic for you to expect every driver to be like that. So yeah, and also Oscar Piastri. Oscar Piastri was having a very good race, but I think he was battling it out with Carlos Sainz towards the end there. I think it was the battle for P4. Yeah, because Sergio Perez was behind them in P6. Oscar was in P3 and was in P4, and Sainz in P5. So they were battling it out, and somehow there was a collision, and I think Oscar Piastri damaged his front wing. I think that was what happened. Yes, I think so. But anyway, because of that, McLaren had to bring him in and change his front wing, and then he had to. By the time he came out of the pit, so boy, he was at the back, like he was last, dead last. For me, I was like, I mean, watching the race, I was like, what's the point? There's no need to bring him in. Like, just let him finish the race like that. If he can hang on to the points, it's fine. But if he cannot, that's okay as well. But then bringing him out, he went on the new sets of mediums, and he was trying to go through the field, but he couldn't. It was like there was not enough time for him to go through everybody and also make it up to score some points. He had the fastest lap, but then it's no point. Like there's no point to have it because like you don't finish in the top 10, so you don't get any points for that. So yeah. Also, big shout out in the race also for Yuki Tsunoda. Yuki Tsunoda finished P7. What an excellent drive. What that guy is doing right now. Honestly, I believe like it's so sad that the Red Bull senior team are not even considering Yuki Tsunoda for a drive in Formula One, like for the senior Red Bull team, because honestly, he is mopping the floor with Daniel Ricciardo. He is currently sitting P10 in the Constructors' Championship. Like, literally, Lance Stroll is in a better car than he is, and he has more points than Lance Stroll. That's how good Yuki Tsunoda is. It's just unfortunate that, Yuki is a Japanese driver. If you don't know, he's a Japanese driver, and Honda is a Japanese, like, of course, everybody knows Honda is a Japanese engine manufacturer. So they supply Red Bull. Both Red Bull has two teams: the Visa Cash App Racing Bulls and the senior Red Bull team. Now, as part of the deal, Yuki is as long as Honda is supplying Red Bull with these engines, Yuki gets to drive just by association of Honda. But now that Honda is going to be moving to Aston Martin with the new regulations coming in 2026, would we see Yuki moving to Aston Martin? I don't know, because Alonso for sure already has a contract up until that time, but we don't know of Lance Stroll. There's nothing said about him yet. So maybe there's a chance that he could replace Lance Stroll over there. Yeah, and I think that's basically what happened over the weekend. I don't know if I'm missing something. So yeah, for the race, my predictions for the race were actually for Max to win, Sergio Perez to finish second, and Charles Leclerc. No, and Carlos Sainz. Was it? No, I did predict Lando to be on the podium. I actually predicted Lando to be on the podium. It was Max, Checo, and Lando, because I said the upgrades of the McLaren was going to come in handy in this race. But it came in very good. Lando finished P1, Max P2, Charles Leclerc finished P3. So my predictions for the flop of the week didn't come through this weekend because, I mean, the Ferrari was looking good anyway. So yeah, it is what it is. We all miss those. Once in a while we miss these things. So yeah. Special shout out to also, I think Carlos Sainz was meant to finish fourth in the race, but because of the collision he had with Oscar Piastri, I think he was dropped. He was given a 5-second penalty at the end of the race. So that pushed Sergio Perez to P4. And in P5, I think, yes, Carlos Sainz finished P5 there. And you have the likes of Hamilton in P6, then Yuki Tsunoda P7, and the others were there. So, yeah. But in general, also big shout out to Alpine. Alpine scored their first points of the season. So yeah, my big surprise of the weekend did come true. They did qualify. That was Esteban Ocon. Now Alpine have 1 point, which pushes them to currently 8th position in the Constructors' Championship. With Williams and the Stake F1 team yet to register any points yet this season. So it's gonna be tricky. But the important thing is that they have 1 point and they can just build on from there. As I said, they also dropped the weight of their car. So I think from now on, it's just going to be better things for for Alpine, basically. Let's see what they can do. Because I know Gasly, when he was interviewed after the race, was like, in a way, frustrated about not, not the car not behaving as he would want. But in a way, it's good. It's in a better direction. I think Gasly would have gotten a better finish in the race if not because of the safety car. Really, the safety car did mess a lot of people up, especially Verstappen. I think he could have tried to hang on to his lead if there was if the safety car was not there, even though he had the floor damage. I think it would have been close because Lando finished the race 7 seconds ahead of Max. So it would have been really close. Lando could have caught up to him and like maybe battled for the win, but in this case Lando was opportune and everything went well. And yeah, also I think if you are not keeping up with Formula One, like let's say interviews, I mean Max Verstappen was just on a cruise this weekend. Like you need to just go watch all the interviews from the weekend. Max Verstappen is just something else. As much as he's a good driver, he's also a funny guy, and yeah, he also brings good vibes around. So yeah, that's basically what happened this weekend. I don't know if I'm missing anything, but if I am, you can bring it up in the comment. I can like chat you up about it there. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. I'll try to post some. I'll try and look for something to post because like I don't know what I'm going to do for the rest of this weekend. Honestly, that there's no Formula One, so we'll see. No race, nothing. I think I might just find the content to react to. I have been saying that for a long time, but I am yet to do that. You guys have to forgive me. Sometimes life throws so much at the boy, So, but we move. So thank you guys for watching. Kindly like, subscribe, and share with your friends that are Formula One fans or that are into motorsports. In fact, just share with all your family. Let them come and like and subscribe and support the boy. That's all I want, So yeah, thank you so much for spending so much time here, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Peace out.